Okay, so you think you need a lawyer. Before the selection of that lawyer occurs, ask yourself this. What does this stranger in business for himself know about my family? What does any judge, for that matter? I don't know. You're giving your family to a novice. They have no expertise. So I ask you, why would you hire them to begin with? To give up your assets, maybe? Your connection with your children, maybe? Your very reason for existing, maybe? Do you want to throw it all away? I don't think so. So here is some help, some insider information as to how to manage your lawyer, even though we don't want you to hire the lawyer to begin with. And I have with me two experts. I'm the other one.
Looking over there.
Gary Jacobs, President of the Americans for Legal Reform, and yours truly. So, okay, respond to that. I mean, why does anybody really need to start for the basics? Why does anybody need a lawyer?
I mean, listen, if you're in court, you know, sometimes you do need a lawyer.
You're summoned to court.
Your ex-husband or wife files in court, you show up. Pro se or representing yourself is not for everybody. I don't like it either, wasting people's assets on attorneys. In fact, when people come to me at Americans for Legal Reform and tell me I was served, I'm in court, the first thing I tell them is try to speak to your spouse about going to mediation. Try to pull out of the court as fast as you can. But I also do know that sometimes you can't help it. I know in my divorce, which lasted 11 years, people kept coming to me and saying, Gary, be done with it already.
Yep.
Why do you keep
like
going?
It's your
Why
fault.
do you keep going to court? I said, I'd love to not go to court. But if I get served papers and I get an order of protection and I get arrested, I have no choice. I go to court. And listen, I'm pretty well versed in court. But I used an attorney many times also.
Sure.
There's some things that an attorney can say that it's better coming from an attorney
and
than representing yourself.
Those are the things we want to teach the people that are listening when we need one. You might need one on occasion.
Right. I mean, I have first of all, managing your attorney is the show. But yeah. I tell people, listen, attorney's very expensive. Most of these cases drag on forever. So what I say is, because part of the system is to their game is let's let the case dribble out, let's let it fizz out and somebody will give up. They'll run out of money, they'll do something stupid, they'll find a new boyfriend, they'll find a new girlfriend, and the case will just automatically settle itself and I won't have to make a decision.
Or
because the judges early,
yeah.
They just really run out of money. But what I say is if you only have a limited amount of resources, which, a lot of us do only have a limited, I mean, when it comes to lawyers, if you're telling me I got $300,000-$400,000, that's not enough, right? So if you're going to be in court for all this time, what the judges do is they say, come back every month. So every month you come back, they go into the back room, they have a stupid conference, they kiss each other's ass in the back, and they come out.
Make plans for golf.
And the wife's lawyer goes to the wife and tells him, it went great for us today. I spoke up to the judge. The husband's lawyer goes to the husband and says, it went great for us today. I spoke up to the judge. Half the time the judge never even came in the back room. It was the judge's clerk that was in the room. It's bullshit what they say happened. So I say, forget all that crap because it means nothing. A trial means something. I say go in right off the bat, be pro se, and represent yourself right up until the time of the trial.
It's
Don't
easy.
spend
you
all
can't
this
ask
money.
For a jury. People think that you can. Oh well, there's going to be a jury.
Yeah, no juries in New York.
You can't get that right
for the family court custody.
Way too many, of course.
Happen.
But I mean, that's something we're teaching the people that are watching about managing your lawyers. That you can't really get everything that you want.
Right.
But what's some of the other things you can do? I mean, there's a common notion that hire an attorney and let him run the show. The most common strategy and all. Right?
Listen,
let him run the show.
Yeah, you have to take it. You have to manage your own case. These attorneys, especially the bigger ones, have many cases, and they can't remember your case. You can't blame them. They all these issues overlap because
if how much money you had made such a difference, why do so many people lose so much money?
Right.
You see the highlight films of everybody losing hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees.
Right. Yeah, I mean, everybody, these lawyers say so many, but everybody's got the same problem, the orders of protection, and, the wife's turning the kids against you, the husband's so they all hear the same thing. You have to manage the lawyer. And as I tell people, if you have a legal question in family court and you go to 10 lawyers and ask them their opinion on it, you're going to get 15 different opinions. None of them are right, none of them are wrong, because it depends on the judge, depends on your spouse, depends on family court, Supreme Court, how much money you have,
things you don't
what
know.
you look like, the judge's preconceived notions and prejudices. So there is no right or wrong. So listen to your lawyer, but manage your own case. Do your own research.
The issue is control, isn't it? When you give up. When you hire an attorney and he says, I'll take care of this, or I know what to say, don't say anything in court, shut up, just like a judge was saying in a prior show we just did. you're losing control. You're stepping out of that arena.
But it's a big mistake. This is your life, not their life. They're going to go on. If they make a mistake and don't prepare for a trial, they're going to go on to the next person.
Next.
I mean, first of all, you want your lawyer to go in prepared for court. Any lawyer who tells you, don't worry, show up 20 minutes before court for the trial and we'll talk in the hallway, fire them right away. Don't be afraid to fire your lawyer. A big problem is people, when you're going through a very difficult situation, people become emotionally involved with their attorney.
Feel the pressure of the time, too.
That's like your best friend, your confidant, your psychologist, and you start to think, and sometimes they are, but they're like
rare.
your friend. So you don't realize that this person is a business for them. So you have to realize that, and don't be afraid to fire your attorney. A lot of people say, oh, it's going to look bad. You got to fire 1 or 2 attorneys before you go forward. And firing attorneys is great. You get a
There's a lot of
do-over.
people can't do what you're saying. I think I'm completely in agreement with you, but not everybody can do that. There's some people who are afraid. Oh,
Oh, yeah, I see people that stick out, my lawyer sucks, my lawyer sucks, my lawyer sucks. Who are you going to court with? The lawyer that sucks. What do you mean? If it doesn't smell right, it doesn't look right, it's not right. It's not right to show up when you're facing jail for contempt that the lawyer says 10 minutes before court we're going to meet and discuss your case. That's not right.
Let's talk about the billing. From the beginning, never accept charges for phone calls and emails. I wanted to mention that because I've seen so many cases with these little 39 cents for that call,
No, I mean,
$3
except that
and
it's-
40
you know,
cents
listen,
for
they have
that
a right
call,
to charge.
and there's 40 calls. No, why should anybody keep charging?
Well, they have a right to charge, but you have a right to say, I don't want to pay, but it's in your
That's what
retainer
I'm saying.
agreement. So if you're doing it, say, look, I don't want to be
strike.
nickel.
Okay, so the advice we give is strike it. Be
Right.
careful.
Or get a new lawyer. Listen, I have plenty of lawyers that I recommend that give you their cell phone at their first. When I recommend an
Can
attorney.
you limit that? Can you limit that, by the way? Can you say, you know what? I'm going to need a couple of questions every week.
Well, listen, I want a lawyer who
just
wants
saying.
to. This is a game that the lawyers play because what happens is by charging you for the text message or by charging you for the phone call, you don't make the phone call or the text message because the first time you get a bill for $150 for a phone call, you don't want to do it. Then you make a mistake. You text the wrong thing to your spouse. You send the wrong email. You say the wrong thing because you didn't want to ask your attorney what was the right thing. And then when you go to court and you're losing, the attorney says, well, come on, what do you expect? You sent that stupid text message to your husband, to your wife. Now it's going to be used against you.
Well, you didn't allow me to text you to ask the same question.
So what I tell people, and the advice that I give people, I only recommend attorneys, and I recommend a lot through Americans for Legal Reform, and I only recommend attorneys that will give out their cell phone and not charge the client to text them. They should be able to text. Everybody texts these days. Let the attorney text the attorney a question. Hey, it's an emergency. My ex just sent me this. What do I do? Because that one little mistake could be the thing that you lose your case. And
that's
we're all
why
emotional.
I said there should be some kind of limit because you have to have the ability to communicate with the person who's representing you. That's your counselor, right? That's
but
the
if you
person
don't, I
who's
say
helping
dump
you
them.
along.
And you know that. There are family lawyers on Long Island who will let you call them. You and I know a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And that they will let you call them and do that because they rather win the case.
You know what you could also do? That's right. It's more about winning.
And listen, at the end of the day,
they don't give a shit about you, but they want to win.
Right. Well, because it helps their other cases.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, listen, a lawyer's time is money. I get that. But if they're charging you $350, $450, $550 an hour, you know what? They can answer a freaking text message a couple times a month
without having to
charge you.
I
think
ridiculous.
they're covered by their $500 an hour.
But even so, the logic of not being able to communicate in some way, even by text or by phone call, it pisses me off that they have to charge so much.
Well, some of them don't even
listed
answer.
and categorized. I want to be able to call my attorney's office. If I don't have one, but I'm just saying if I did. And leave a message to say, I want to hear from him blank.
I want their cell phone. And honestly, if they don't call back or respond, dump them.
They could be in court.
Well, let's say if they don't respond or call back, dump them. Dump them. There's enough lawyers who want your business out there. Long Island, we're loaded with family lawyers.
All right, yeah.
They're like rats. And they reproduce, too. It's scary. You keep turning them out.
I like the 3 to 5 calls a week deal. At least we're getting something out of that. That's what I think should happen. What other advice can you give them while I'm fishing?
Okay, the most important thing for me, the most important thing is to be confident. And I know you love to bring up Donald Trump, so I'm going to bring him up for you in this case. This is not about whether you like his politics or not, but he's very confident, and that scares people.
Yeah.
And you have to be confident. Scares the shit out of people in court. But it also sends a message to your attorney. So what I say is, listen, you can back out at the last minute, but when you're going to your attorney and he says, I don't know if we should go to trial, you don't have a good chance of winning, you say to your attorney, I'm confident. I want to go to trial because I'm telling the truth. For example, in order of protection. They'll always tell you, the lawyer never wants to go to trial. He'll always try to scare you, and he'll tell you, listen, you never know because it's family court. It's crazy in Suffolk County. It's crazy in Nassau. Anything goes. At the end of the day, it's still court. And I say, if you didn't do something that you got an order of protection, tell your attorney,
that you want to handle that first, and I want that handled
and
first.
I want to go to trial. I will not take a plea.
Another thing you can do is advise that you should be handling that issue first because it clouds everything else.
Well, that's true.
Afterwards.
That's separate to managing. My point with managing the attorney is you tell them.
Well, I mean, if you turn, I only said that because your attorney gives you a hard time.
I want this. I do not want to take a plea because what happens is now the attorney goes into the back room with the judge, and they sit there and they say. The judge says, listen, we got to settle this case, guys. Let's just make him take a plea. And that your attorney goes, listen, my guy is adamant that he didn't do it, and he's crazy. He wants his day in court, judge, because he says he didn't do what they said.
Right.
That sends a message.
That's
the judge will always turn around to the other party and go, look, he's so confident that he's willing to take a chance and go to trial. I think you better talk to your client because maybe your guy is telling the truth.
The missing element to that, the only missing element to that, that's good advice, is that they could know each other.
They do know each other, but who cares?
Well, they could not say, they could tell their client one thing and then not.
Yeah, but if you go into your attorney and you're telling him, listen, I know you're going to win.
You have confidence that
you have to have confidence that you're going to win, my attorney's going to win, they're going to go in there to win.
And
if you tell your attorney, look,
that's going to mean some money, Gary.
Right.
That's going to mean
Imagine
some
you tell
money
your
out of your
attorney,
pockets.
Listen, I know that it's a tough call. I know you might not win. Is your attorney going to prepare? He goes, nah, because my guy's already figuring if I lose, it's okay. Don't let him get off the hook. Tell him, I know you're going to win.
So there's some opportunity there.
I know you're going to win. Also, you're sending a message. Nothing scares your opponent more than confidence. Scares the judge, the law guardian, and your opponent. Okay. You got to be confident.
What about the use of plain language versus legalese? A lot of people are intimidated by the fact that they ask, this is what I want. I want custody. I want to share the custody. Say they use the word share instead of joint, or I want joint custody, and the lawyer and the judge don't recognize it because New York State law doesn't have a joint custody law.
Right.
But I want that to happen. I mean, should you be careful of hearing the language?
Well, you have to educate yourself
language?
Because I can't tell you how many people I talk to, and they say, "Oh, my ex, let's just say the wife, for example, my ex-wife is not letting me make a decision about where my kid goes to school," and I go, "Okay, what's your custody arrangement?" They always tell me, Chris, I got joint custody.
Right.
And I go, well, that means nothing, that you lost custody. No, I didn't. My lawyer told me I have joint custody.
Yeah.
Well, your lawyer never explained to you that all the joint custody is so you don't go shoot the judge for taking away your kid. It means shit. You're a visitor. You have no say. Residential custody means custody. Now, most lawyers don't explain this to people.
Right.
They want to get out of the case because the judge tells them to settle. They exhausted all the money usually in your retainer.
So managing your lawyer in this particular case
you have to
would be
research the case
to let them know what it means to have joint
I
custody.
want to know what does this mean? You have to ask the question. But listen, we got the internet now. Google everything. Talk to people. Look at groups like Americans for Legal Reform. Talk to mediators. Get another opinion of somebody who knows the system. But you have to. Don't be afraid to ask questions, and don't think just because your lawyer tells you it's so, it is so. When you're out of money, they want to be done with the case.
You know, one of the notes I looked at for this guy who sets up a plan of action that you can do to do what we're talking about now and how to manage a lawyer says that many lawyers find it natural to give you less than full or useful information when discussing your case and related issues, because they are afraid that telling you everything might lessen their control over you.
Yeah.
Right? That's true to a degree.
Yeah, no, I agree. Listen, you know what? One of the thing that the lawyers hate probably almost as much as anything is e-courts. They hate when somebody discovers that there's a thing on the web called New York State Web e-courts where you can go online and check all the motions that are filed, when a decision was made. Because how many times do you know that a decision is made, it goes to your attorney, and maybe your ex finds out before you. What the hell? You didn't know. Well, it went into the lawyer's pile. He didn't care. But meanwhile, I know what it's like waiting for a decision, right? You check every day. I want the decision. I want the decision. Well, go on e-courts
and then you get it.
Check every day and find out when and then you call up and you say, hey, did you get the decision? No, I didn't get it yet. Well, e-court says it was submitted last week.
That's something you can do to avoid needing to have to
you don't have to call
the lawyer at all. You don't have
to call and say, did you get it? You go online. When's my next court appearance? Go online. Did my ex file a petition? Go
Did you ever
online.
see anybody
And
bill for
that's-
that? The people bill for that sometimes.
For what?
Using use of
Well,
e-courts.
I don't know if they. Well, eCourts is free, so anybody who's looking, just Google New York State eCourts homepage. Go to Web Civil Supreme, click on the link, and you can search by. Listen, I do it to people all the time. Somebody tells me, "Oh, I filed for divorce," blah blah blah. Oh, really? I go home and I go to New York eCourts and I put in the name. They're lying. They didn't file for divorce.
Yeah.
They're not even in divorce court yet. So, this is public record. Not family court. The Supreme Court is public record. So you can just, I also tell people, use it for your attorney. I just had somebody in my office last week who had this attorney. There's a lot of attorneys on Long Island, so I don't know all of them. I know the ones that suck and I know the ones that are good. I don't know this group in the middle of the bell curve. So I said, I never heard of this attorney. And they told me some stuff and I said, wow, this guy seems like he has no idea what the hell he's talking about. Are you sure he's a family law? Oh yeah, all the time. Go to Web Civil Supreme, type in attorney. All cases, active and inactive. 3 cases came up for the attorney. Well, that's not an experienced family attorney. Then I put in another attorney who I know, Robert Hiltzik, Hiltzik, attorney for both. Put it up, pages and pages and pages. Who's got the experience?
You know he's working in the family court, sure.
Right.
The only product that an attorney has is his time. That's his primary product.
And I understand
Or
that.
the way he can buffalo you is another decent.
Well, their time, listen, they have to get paid for their time.
So
right?
one of the things we can do is you can say, where's the dollar value in the time to yourself, and manage the application of a bill. What is he going to bill you for? So you can manage that a little bit, right?
But listen, you have to manage the time, of course. You don't want to waste your time with stuff that's nonsense.
You can expect you're going to get charged for a day in court.
You're going to have to go to. Well, watch it. If they say I'm going to another case, you shouldn't be charged if they're walking to another case because they're charging
that all the time.
for 2 people.
Now that we've court watched before, I recommend everyone do that. Go sit in the court for a while and watch a case. Right. Watch how it develops.
So they go. They may be on for 3 cases that day.
It would help you manage.
And they're charging everybody from 9 o'clock in the morning till 1 o'clock. Yeah. So, but meanwhile they split it up. So some attorneys are fair, but you have to. Don't be afraid to say, well, you left for the other case. It's a bad thing, though, going to court, which is why I like to do pro se for all those stupid visits and save the money for the trial. That's when you need the skill for the trial.
And is there always what about the difference between an attorney who does or doesn't go to trial? Some won't do.
Absolutely. You need an attorney who will go to trial. They'll all tell you they go to trial, but you need one that's capable because you may not know it. But I guarantee you, the other attorney knows if you're with an attorney who sucks in court.
Hell he's doing, right?
This guy's going to settle in the last minute because and if he does and he goes to trial, he's going to make a bumbling. Listen, I know which attorneys. There's some attorneys who just love going to trial, which isn't good either. They say, I don't care, I'd rather just go to trial. Settle or go to trial. But I want somebody who can go to trial if they need to. Don't get one of these guys who's not competent to go to trial.
You have to have a mindset that your attorney's working for you is not the other way around. Because it'll appear as you're going through a case, your own case especially, that everyone else is in control of you.
Right.
But you have that ability to manage.
You have to take control of your own case.
And you're attorney. And
well,
you
I
have
think
to
you
manage
control
as
your.
best as
They
you
work
can.
for you. You're paying them big bucks. You're paying them $400-500 an hour. They damn well better do right by you.
You're right.
But make sure they do, because a lot of them don't.
This piece I'm looking at also says expect to demand clear communication with your attorney at all times. I can't tell you how many times I could not get information from the attorney.
But then
Days
fire
would go
them.
by.
Fire them. I hate when people keep these attorneys who aren't getting back to them. If your attorney's not getting back to you, fire the son of a bitch. Who the hell would have somebody working for them for that kind of money and they don't get back to you? You know what it's like when you're stressing out over your court date. You're stressing out about what's going on. Let's not do that one part over again.
Let's see, yeah.
So you know what it's like when you're stressing out over your court date and you just want to hear back from your attorney. Hey, what's going on? And the guy's not calling you back. Get the hell rid of him.
Sure.
Get rid of him.
Not much help to you there. So what else could you say, Gary, about helping the audience understand what it's like to hire somebody and keep them, besides what we've talked about so far? Is there anything we missed?
Yeah, listen, well, first of all, again, don't be afraid to fire your attorney. It happens all the time. You don't want to be somebody who fires 4, 5, 6 attorneys. You can fire 1, 2, or 3 attorneys over a couple years.
Because then you look like you're...
Well, first of all, it gives you a do-over, too. So if your case isn't going well, Why would you keep the same attorney? If you're going to a doctor, he's treating you for cancer and your limbs are falling off, you're going to stick with the same guy? No, you're going to go to a different one.
So you get a chance to fix what the first
It's a
attorney may
do-over.
not have
Let
worked
them go
for
in
you.
and say, hey, well, the other attorney did the bad thing. First of all, and not every attorney is good for every judge, right? That's something you have to, it's a matchmaking thing. But I'll tell you, attorneys are the best salesmen in the world. So attorneys are full of shit. This is what they do for a living. They're lying son of a bitches. As you listen, we all know the Latin word for lawyer is liar. So that's how that's why they're called lawyers. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I didn't know
That's
that.
not true. I just made it up.
Oh,
But lawyers
sounded good, though.
Lawyers are trained to lie.
I halfway bought that.
They're trained to lie for a living. I could tell you this spiel, Chris, when you go into the lawyer's office. Who's your judge? Oh, it's Judge.
Oh, I know that judge.
I know
yeah.
the judge. I
Yeah.
went to his fundraisers.
I played golf with
we
him
went
and
to
stuff
law
like
school
that, yeah.
together. We were in the DA's office together. Who's the other lawyer on the case? Oh my God! I know. I've been on many cases. I get along great with lawyers. Are the best salesmen. They're selling you on this $15,000, $20,000 retainer.
You know, some salespeople are honest, you know.
Really? Well, you and I are both in sales, but we're not
That's right.
doing law. You know, listen. When they get a client with dollars, they'll tell you anything
By the
to
way,
get you in.
By the way, regarding dollars, we need to know what your own assets, your own ability to pay not only
Well,
the
don't hire a
legal
lawyer
fees.
who's out of your range.
Well, keep your assets under control.
Right. Well, then listen. If you go, a big mistake. A lot of people go to the attorney and go,
What is
"I want to fight."
disposable income?
Well, they go, "I want to fight for my kids." Oh, okay, but it's going to be a lot of money. And then the guy goes, "I don't care what it costs. These
Yeah.
are my kids.
You're done.
I will
You're
spend
done right there.
anything. If I run out of money, I'll sell my retirement
You're out.
fund.
You're toast.
I'll go to my family. Oh, this guy's
Yeah.
eyes are going to light up. You're his
of
best
course.
friend."
Oh, no, take it easy now. We'll take
know,
a good
so
job.
you have to go in there and
let
say,
me
"Look,
show you the road here,
Listen,
but
I want to get my kids, but I only
Yeah.
have so much assets. And if the lawyer says I can't do it, then get a new lawyer. We got tons of them to choose from on Long Island.
I think we covered the bulk of this. I want to thank you very much, Gary Jacobs, for
Thanks for
covering this
having
on
me.
this
Thank
show.
you.
I
Thank
appreciate that. You've been watching FIT TV, the program that brings you behind the scenes of our divorce culture. At FIT, we know you cannot get this information on your own, so we'll bring it to your TV every single week. Every single week. Did I say that right? My name is Chris DiMaggio. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next week.